I'm going to start out by using a puller to remove this bearing. And remember, anytime you use a puller, to wear safety glasses. Okay, so this side usually takes a little bit of force to remove the bearing. Okay, now that that's off, this side usually just pulls on and off by hand. And if you have any trouble, you could use the puller the same way. Alright, so now I'm going to set the differential carrier inside the press. Use something flat to press this bearing on. It should take a little bit of force, but not too much. And after that, I'm going to take an extra bearing and set it on top just to make sure that it pushes it all the way down. Okay, so the first thing you do is you take one of these, I don't even know what you call this, but you take one of these halves, one of these pieces, and you got to put it, you got to take the pin, stick the spring inside the pin, and put it in this little hole where it goes. And put the other one in. And put the other one in. You gotta put the little spring in the pin and drop it in the hole. And this is the part that can be a little bit tricky. It's really not. It just takes a little bit of coordination. You can put the spring and the pin. Put all the springs and all the pins in. And then you have to put them together without the pins falling apart. So you can just put your two fingers on it and that's it. Everything's in place. So be careful with that part. Make sure everything stays in place. And now you can take the differential carrier, and what you're going to do first is drop the spider gear in there, or the side gear. Then you take this piece, make sure not to, make sure everything stays in place. And you can take two fingers and grab it like this. You take two fingers and then just drop it in. The next thing you put in is you have to put in one of these spacers. And then the next part you put in this little centerpiece that comes out that came out of your differential. And now you can install the cross pins. They just slide in. And then you have to put in this other spacer. I forgot to mention that, but whenever you put the side gears in, you take the instructions say not to put the shim on. Take the shims off before you install it. And now you can put the other side gear in. And now you can put, I done lost it. Oh, there it goes. Now you can put the lid on it. Or the hat. They're calling this a hat. I'm going to put these two bolts in there and just snug them down so everything stays in place. These bolts are, the torque spec is 58 to 66 foot-pounds of torque, or pound-feet, whatever you want to call it. So this one is supposed to use red Loctite, So I have all the bolts in there, and I'm just going to take one out at a time and put some Loctite on it, and then torque them all down. Just takes a drop. Oh, that's a huge drop. Well, these are kind of big. Maybe they take a couple of drops. Okay, once you put red Loctite on all of them, you can go ahead and run them all down. And then take your torque wrench and set it to about half the torque, and then tighten them then tighten all the bolts in a star pattern. Okay, after tightening all the bolts to half torque, now it's time to go ahead and turn the torque wrench setting up to the recommended torque spec, which is 58 to 66 foot-pounds of torque, and then go around and tighten them in a star pattern. And after I'm done with all the bolts, I like to just go around in a circle just to double check to make sure I didn't miss one. Now you can flip it over and do the lid the same way. But these call for blue Loctite. And the torque spec is 27 to 32.5 foot-pounds. And blue Loctite. After you put blue Loctite on all the bolts, you can now torque them. And the torque spec is between 27 and 32.5 foot-pounds. And torque them in a star pattern. And I think that's about it.